So you've got an E error. Let's troubleshoot that and get you back smoking. First of all, the most common things that cause an E error are physical. The best you can do is visually inspect for these obstacles which are preventing the biscuits being fed properly. One of the first things to think about is how your biscuits have been stored. Obviously, these are dried to a specific humidity, and if these have been stored in a moist sort of environment, you may find that they swell and they become slightly misshaped, and the whole system has been designed for our biscuits specifically. So if that has happened, potentially your biscuits are swollen too large to fall through properly, to fall into the slot to be pushed along, or to fit out of the slot at the end here to be pushed along the conveyor system. So first of all, think about that. Have a look at your biscuits. If you've got a new pack of biscuits, potentially compare your biscuits you're using to your new biscuits in the pack and just see if they're sort of looking the same and in similar shape, etc. So secondly is obviously our automatic system. They feed through here, they drop down and get pushed along the conveyor system. It's our clean smoke technology. But if for whatever reason, when a biscuit falls to the bottom, as the pushing arm moves backwards, biscuit drops in. If for whatever reason that biscuit maybe doesn't fall exactly flat, that may cause your E error. So again, visually inspecting that there's nothing blocking. So you can either take the generator off the side of the smoker and just have a look and just see that there's nothing sort of physically blocking the pushing mechanism. Or again, you can look down through your biscuit feeding tube and just check there's nothing potentially blocking that mechanism from moving backwards and forwards, okay? That would all cause an E error. Also, something sometimes can be that potentially your feeding tube has been pushed down too far into the smoker. So the biscuit tube does not need to be pushed that far down into the smoker. As you can see, it's quite difficult. All it needs to be is just sat in position there, and then that is all that's needed. If it's pushed down too far, it could potentially cause a problem for the arm when it's moving backwards and forwards. It's not that common, but sometimes it does happen. So just sit in the biscuit feeding tube in position, doesn't need to be firmly pushed down in place. And those are the sort of physical main reasons why you might find you're getting an E error with your smoke generator. I hope that helps. If not, we've got some further steps to troubleshoot. So if none of that fixes your E error, we're going to open up the generator like this. All you need to do is unscrew the screws on the bottom, and then the access panel will just slide off. Nice and simple. So now this is how we look on the inside. I've stripped off a few extra bits just for the sake of filming to be able to show you how to do it, but this is basically what it will look like with a few extra components beneath. So we're going to start on physical things that could go wrong internally within the generator. So we all know obviously biscuits are made of like sort of wood chippings, and these chippings break off over time, and can sometimes even if a biscuit slightly falls in, you can maybe even end up breaking a part off that falls into the mechanism, falls into the smoke generator. So we're going to be looking for sort of anything blocking the arm moving, or any sort of build-up over time that might be stopping the mechanism from working in its best way. So the first thing you're going to do when you've opened up the generator is you're going to have a visual inspection, that there's nothing you can see that's blocking the arm, that's just an easy quick fix. So if there's visually nothing, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to manually push the motor mechanism around. So just by doing this, you can just move the motor arm around. I mean, you can probably see from me doing it that there's resistance. There should be a little bit of resistance, but there should be nothing blocking the arm from rotating and moving. If whilst you're moving the arm around, you notice there is something that's blocking it, or maybe the arm's loose or something like that, then you just resolve those small issues, remove the blockage, and then retest to see if that clears the E error for you. Okay, So if you test the arm and there is no problem with the arm, there's no blockages with the arm and it's moving freely, then potentially what's causing another E-error issue may be the micro switch. So commonly this would be diagnosed from the beginning by the fact that the biscuits aren't stopping. So the micro switch in the generator basically is what it gives the smoke generator its timing. So as the arm moves round, it passes through the micro switch and that sets the 20-minute timer for our clean smoke technology. So if it's not passing through the switch or breaking the switch, it's not doing what it should be doing, then it just won't stop the arm from moving. So the arm will just continuously spin, continuously push biscuits through. Potentially another way of diagnosing this from the start is the fact that one time it pushes the biscuit, the next time it waits 40 minutes, maybe 60 minutes, and then passes the biscuits. There might be something wrong with the micro switch. Potentially that is what we're going to be looking at next. So the micro switch is this little part here at the end. It's a black C-shaped plastic switch. If you have a previous generation smoke generator, it may look something like this. So this one is a physical one and the arm actually strikes and makes contact with this button. That is how this older previous generation model micro switch works. And so in a moment, when I'm describing this one, I'll move back to this one afterwards. So the arm should be spinning all the way around, moving into between the micro switch as so, and when it hits that point, the motor stops. That tells the motor to stop, starts a 20-minute timer for the next rotation and for the next biscuit to be pushed out. If you've got one of the previous generation models, what happens is the arm strikes the switch. That does the same thing where it stops the arm from moving, starts a 20-minute timer for the next biscuit to then be pushed along. So if it's not striking this switch, or if it's not passing through the middle of those switches, the U-shaped micro switch here, then that could be what's causing a problem. Also, a build-up of dirt, grime, or anything like that could potentially stop this switch from operating. So cleaning around this button, making sure there's no build-up of gunk or anything that could be causing your problem. So just give that switch a clean, or again, just wipe the inside of this switch, make sure there's nothing actually physically blocking the switch or within the switch. So if you do that, then, and just check that the arm is making contact with either the previous generation switch or passing through the middle. Okay, once that's done, then retest to see if that clears your E error. So now we've finished the internal inspection of the generator, and at this point, either you have identified there's something wrong with the switches, in which case you're going to replace the switch. You've identified the arm isn't passing through the micro switch or connecting with the previous generation micro switch button, in which case you're manipulating, maneuvering the switch so that the arm makes contact or passes through properly. Or you've identified there's a blockage inside, blocking the arm from moving, etc. And so you've already made that, moved that out of the way, and you are either working or not working now. So at this point, if you've checked all of that and there's nothing obviously wrong or obviously blocking the physical mechanism from working, one of the final tests we can do is putting the generator back together. And what we're going to do is we're going to press the manual biscuit advance button. So we press this. If the biscuit is pushed forward and the mechanism works, then that would identify most likely that there is actually something wrong with the micro switch. So like so. So this worked. So in my opinion, if I was still getting any error or the biscuits weren't feeding on time, this would identify to me that it's most likely a micro switch problem. So replacing the micro switch should get you fixed and back smoking again. If at this point, when you test this and press this manual advance button, if it doesn't work and we've already opened it up, we've checked there's no physical blockages, the arm's free to move, everything's connected as it should be, and it does not push a biscuit forward, then what that would probably identify is that there's something wrong with the motor itself. And so replacing that motor should solve your E-error problems and get you back smoking again. Thanks for tuning in. Comment below if there's any videos you'd like to see, any tutorials or troubleshooting videos you'd like to see. We're here to help, and we look forward to seeing you next time.